Welcome in to the Super Awesome Podcast. I am Dogpool, and this is Captain Pete, and I wish I was Deadpool, Matthew.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Yes,
whoa,
that's
whoa.
me.
Welcome in. What are you guys up to in your lives? What happened this week? What are you doing that sounds at all interesting to our listeners? Go.
It was the 4th of July. That's
That it
what
was.
happened.
All right. Bread.
We were on our way to go watch fireworks at a park around here that does fireworks. And on our way there, we got a flat tire in Ria's car right 45 minutes before the fireworks started. So we had to pull over to the gas station next to the air pump. And I immediately got out of the car and knew what the situation was. I had to change a flat tire in the middle of a thunderstorm, practically. I was
That's a
so
real man right
irritated
there.
beyond belief that I didn't even care I was getting poured down on. I was sitting on the ground, soaking wet, changing this tire. I just wanted to get it over with. And yeah, I changed my the flat tire
Well, how
pretty
about that?
flawlessly.
Didn't even
We
have to call Robert.
we
I did
shot
not
off.
call Robert.
We went to the firecracker store, got some firecrackers. Because in Georgia, you can just go, they just have firecracker stores, not like in Ohio. Because Ohio's less free. You have to go to fucking Indiana or Kentucky to get firecrackers in Ohio. But we just go right down the street. So it makes for a little bit more pandemonium in the neighborhoods. Because, like, in Ohio, you hear them going crackly, crackly everywhere. Because people are still, people still get them and shoot them off. But it's not as abundant. So it fucking sounds like a goddamn war zone. And it's pretty sweet. And some of us like to go outside in the midst of all the, like at the peak, and then blast off a couple of 12 gauge rounds because it's fucking great.
I was telling people about that.
I do that like every year now. I need to get like more shells.
Wait, did the fireworks stand have any whistling bungholes or spleen splitters or whisker biscuits or honky lighters, hoosker doos or hoosker don'ts, cherry bombs,
Mhm.
Nipsey daisers,
I
with
don't
or
think he's
without
seen
the
that.
scooter
I
stick,
don't think he's seen that movie.
or one single whistling kitty chaser?
I know the scene that you're talking. Is this from Joe fucking Dirt or some
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, I've seen that scene. But no, I just got like I like the smaller stuff. Like the big stuff is cool, but it's so expensive. I think you can have more fun just buying a shitload of bottle rockets and Roman candles and stuff. So that's usually what I go for. But I got the kind that whistle. I don't fucking the ones that go pow. I don't like the whistle part. I like when they just shoot off and then explode.
I will tell you that the Walmart fireworks really are not that bad
What are you
around
talking
here.
about? It's just a bunch of smoke bombs. You
It's
can't like
not. It's not anymore. It's not like that anymore. They have like fountains, so they don't have
that's
anything
still
that
kind of
shoots up in the
lame.
air. No, no,
It's
not
just
these
sparks.
ones. The one I bought like the $40 pack, and it came with like a bunch of them, and like the final three, like the finale ones, they were so like large, and they went on for a long time. And yeah, they're surprisingly really good. Like just for cheap fireworks at Walmart, they're really not that bad.
Yeah. Well, this fucking place was they were like trying to get rid of that shit. They were like, buy one, get one free. And there's other shit like buy one, get three free. You buy like one mortar, and all of a sudden now you have four mortars. You can just blow your whole house up. It's great.
Sounds like a win. Um, I went to a garage sale this morning and bought some things for the game room that I'm really conflicted about. For our audio listeners, why don't you go check out Super Awesome Podcast on YouTube so you can see what I'm about to reveal. But I got a bunch of like vintage toys in box. This is fucking Batman shits.
Wait, that's Arkham Asylum Escape?
Yeah.
Notice how it says Escape on
Yeah.
there if you're reading it right. But yeah, and then I got some like on card like retro
Showing a
Marvel
Venom doll.
stuff.
Sorry, action
Got
figure.
some, yeah, you got some Wolverine, X-Men shit from like 91.
Ooh, that one's wrapped up.
Yeah, Colossus.
Hey, he's relevant.
He is relevant to what we're talking about today. Here's the other one.
I can't wait till
Magneto.
your kids wanders in there and then opens up all those sealed
So that's the
action
issue.
figures.
I want to display them, but like initially when I was buying them, I'm like, oh, I'll just open them and put them on my shelf. And then as I'm driving home, I'm like, oh, but they've been encased since like 1991 and 1993. I think are the years on those things. And then I think the Batman one that might be like a Toys R Us exclusive. I can't remember what the guy said, but uh, they've been in box for so long it feels wrong. So now I'm trying to think of like how I can set them up. I was thinking maybe putting them like all back here, like a little small collection of like on card action figures because
Now, let me ask you this.
I thought they were cool.
How much did you spend on all that?
Not as much as I was expecting.
Hmm.
Call it $100 maybe.
Should have said
Yeah.
something cooler for the podcast, like $20,000.
Yeah, well, no, he had a like the first comic that had Colossus in it and Nightcrawler, I believe, and he had it graded, and it was like he was selling that for like damn near $4,000, and I was like, ooh, it looks cool. That's like, uh, but yeah, so yeah, X-Men, Marvel. Today we're talking about Deadpool, the first one,
Whoa.
on our way to the new movie.
In a world where the difference between Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds is really blurry, meet Wade Wilson, a man who trades terminal cancer for superpowers and a horribly disfigured body, and Ajax, the bad guy whose real name is Francis. Ajax offers a cure for Wade's cancer, but you guessed it, things go wrong. A movie where they really go out of their way to break the fourth wall, and you love it. Can the merc with a mouth get his revenge against Francis? Or will someone end up cashing in from the Deadpool?
Whoa.
All right, Deadpool released February 12th, 2016, directed by Tim Miller, written by Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, based on Deadpool, created by, I'm going to butcher this dude's name, Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld. His first appearance was in the New Mutants issue 98, December 1990. The movie was produced by Marvel Entertainment and distributed by 20th Century Fox, starring Ryan Reynolds, Marina Baccarin, not sure how you say her name, Ed Skrein, T.J. Miller, and others. Had a budget of $58 million and made $782.8 million at the box office. Quite successful.
Yeah, and the sequel had double the budget and made just a little bit more than the original.
Yeah, I also wrote that. Made 785.8 million. So I expect this new one to at least be in that ballpark because
No.
that's pretty fucking consistent.
I think this one will be over $1 billion.
I think it'll break $1 billion too. But I didn't know that the first one until I was looking shit up about this movie. I didn't realize that the budget was that low because it's a Marvel shit, you know what I mean? They didn't think it was going to be as successful as it was, so they're like, here's this budget. Because like any of the other Marvel movies have like a fucking double that budget. There's
Well,
Marvel movies with like $100 million more to their budget.
I don't think Marvel was directly like in charge. I think it was Fox for the
Yeah,
first two
it was
movies.
Fox. Yeah,
And they were real hesitant to give this movie a large budget because, of its rated R nature. And
Yeah.
and
Well,
also
I think this movie is a great example of, you know, adults go to these movies. So you can make an R-rated comic book movie. This isn't the first one. I think The Punisher might be the first R-rated comic book movie. I could be wrong on that. But it's
is that
like,
the
yeah,
one with the mist guy?
I think yes,
Yeah, like
sure.
2004ish.
it's
Yeah,
a good
that,
movie with John Travolta.
Oh yeah. I forgot he's like the bad guy in that. He
but
played a good bad guy.
yeah, that's rated R, and it was pretty good. And then this one's rated R, and it's a smash hit.
Also Logan.
Yeah, Logan's rated R. That movie's pretty fucking badass too. That's one of my issues with like the Wolverine movies is that like Wolverine, he shreds people. You know what I mean? And then in the early 2000s X-Men, he's like, there's no blood, but he's still stabbing people. I'm like, Eh. I want more R-rated Marvel movies. I don't give a
So
shit if your little kid can't come.
I think this was like the highest grossing rated R movie of all time until the second Deadpool came out and surpassed it. But then that was shortly surpassed by Joker,
Hmm.
which I found pretty interesting. But it's probably going to be overtaken again by the third installment.
Probably. So I got that Reynolds first found interest in Deadpool while working on Blade Trinity in 2000. I guess it would have been like 2003-ish, four. Um,
Wait, are
and
those rated R? Those are comic book movies too.
I think they might be
Hmm.
maybe the first. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But I think someone's like handed him one of the magazine or one of the comics, and he saw that like Deadpool has a line where he says, "I look like Ryan Reynolds crossed with a Shar-Pei," and he was like, "Oh shit!" And then he's like, Deadpool's biggest fan. He was like the main push for this whole movie getting made, pretty much then on out.
No.
And he was finally cast to play Deadpool in the 2009 Wolverine origin story. And my God, did they butcher
They fucked that up
Deadpool?
Yeah,
They
the-
fucked that up
so
bad.
bad.
yeah, awful.
I did very little reading on that. That's got like big wigs involved, like just fucking up everything.
No, that was terrible. They like
But
they like skin grafted his mouth shut. I'm
Yeah, it's
like,
like the
who
whole
fucking
thing that
thought of that?
it's the whole thing that makes Deadpool Deadpool is his mouth,
Yeah, it
and
was
they're
stupid.
like, "Yeah,
well,
sew that shit up."
I
Give
don't know
him
if
blades longer than his forearm would be able to hide
so.
as weapons.
In some comic book variations, there is Deadpool with his mouth sewn shut because he has like this like ability to shoot like have a bunch of like locusts come out of his mouth or something, and he only cuts his mouth open when he needs to. So I
Hmm.
don't know. That's just briefly what I saw and read on.
I have that Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick were hired to write Deadpool in 2010 because they got it. And it was Tim Miller's directorial debut after working on some of the X-Men films. But after the 2011 bomb that was the Green Lantern,
Awful.
it made Fox way more reluctant to do Deadpool. And they were already being cunts about it being R-rated, and they wanted them to like turn it PG-13.
That defeats the purpose.
Yeah, no,
That would just ruin Deadpool if he was like, "Hey, you fudging guys, I'm gonna mess you up. I'm gonna f you in the A."
My I read that Fox didn't want to include a lot of big time X-Men in this movie because of their, how hesitant they were to make it a thing. So they gave them a short list of X-Men that they could use. And I read that Ryan Reynolds specifically chose Negasonic Teenage Warhead because of how ridiculous her name is.
yeah.
Her character sucks.
She
She's annoying.
doesn't really do anything. I don't
She's
know
like,
why
"Oh,
she's so annoying.
I'm a moody, like annoying teenage chick."
I was like,
Well, he
part of
says it
the
himself, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
like part
she's
of the
playing the
joke.
part.
So I had
Colossus
that.
is cool.
Yeah, Colossus is dope. I think he is one of the most underutilized like Marvel characters.
He's a fucking
he's
big
he's such a
metal guy.
Yeah. And the actual actor that
Look
plays him
at him.
is 6'11" in real life.
Such a cool design. Fox gave Miller a low budget in 2012 to make some test footage that would later be leaked in July of 2014. It originally didn't make a big enough impression on Fox to give it the green light, but once leaked, it was too hyped to pass up on. Reynolds was quoted saying that if he would have leaked the test footage himself if he knew it would have that response. And then yeah, like you said, they weren't given a normal budget for the movie, but they were allowed to be more like they were given more creative freedom in doing so.
Yeah. And I also read that they were cut 7 million from the budget like the week prior to shooting of this movie.
I had 48 hours, so
Oh yeah,
I mean
so
either
even
way,
sooner.
yeah. So it led them to cut out some scenes, which I actually think works. So just one of the I only wrote down one of the examples of the scenes that they cut. Him forgetting his guns in the cab. There was going to be there was like they so these guys like wrote the writers. They like wrote action sequences and everything. It wasn't just like go in here and do like they like wrote it down to a T like what was going to go on because they have to insert jokes in between. So they cut out like an entire gunfight and like but then like made a funny joke about it. Like they like were able to write themselves out of it like really well. So yeah, they were just like, oh yeah, he forgets his guns in the cab, easy. Like it saves a bunch of time, and I don't know. I think we got like a good fight scene at the end there, regardless.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just interesting fact about the cab driver. His name is Dopinder, and it's named after someone Ryan Reynolds knew in school who died from a lightning strike.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
shit.
that.
That was interesting.
One of the most expensive scenes is when it's like in the beginning of the movie where the cars are flipping around and he's killing everybody, and they spent like half the budget on like that scene, which is kind
I
of
mean, I
ridiculous.
believe it. I mean, it's like the center point of the whole beginning of the movie.
Yeah. I'll
Um,
say this movie is good, but fucking people take it way too far with this movie. Getting like tattoos of fucking the Deadpool symbol. There, I used to work with this fucking guy. God, he had the Deadpool symbol tattooed on his calf, and I'm like, that's. I think that fuck sure. If you're that big of a fan, go ahead, get a get a Deadpool tattoo. But this guy was the dumpiest. He was shaped like a fucking bowling pin, laziest motherfucker. I couldn't stand him. And I associate anytime I think of this movie, I also think of that guy. So it's kind of tarnished quite a bit. I'm just like this lazy motherfucker. He's one of these guys that'll be telling you like why he didn't do something a certain way and it fucked over everybody else. And he's like playing the victim the whole time. I'm like, you're the problem. You fucking ginger fucking video game playing all day, living in his basement, fucking douche. Either way, but he had people like this movie
Uh,
too much, is what I'm saying. My ex girlfriend was all about this movie, and I'm like, it's good, yeah, but I, I, I can only take so much fucking Ryan Reynolds.
well, speaking of Ryan Reynolds, a lot of the jokes were improvised. They had about 15 jokes per every joke written that they could use. They were limited to that due to time restrictions. Like the Fox can't afford more X-Men line was actually Reynolds improv. I didn't see what the actual like original line was for that. And apparently that's like one of the higher ups at Fox that actually became like his favorite joke in the entire movie.
Hmm. How
Uh,
many Ryan Reynolds movies are there where he's like the main character, but
and he's the
also
same
does
guy.
voiceover over the entire thing? Where it's like just can't get enough of fucking Ryan Reynolds
I
talking
mean,
in his Ryan Reynolds way. I'm just like, fuck.
there's actually a lot. I'm thinking of like
There's
multiple
more.
that do
It's not just
it.
Deadpool. He's like
hey,
the voice of Pikachu, and I
yeah,
think
Detective Pikachu is actually pretty good.
I think there's some stupid romantic comedy where he does that same type of shit where it's
Yeah,
he's
it's
acting but also voiceover, and I'm like,
that Christmas movie. I can't think of what it's called, but I think he does it in that too, where he narrates the beginning, like the high
yeah,
school years, and he's all
the,
fat, and then he gets all in shape and attractive Ryan Reynolds.
it's like fuck. I shut up, Ryan Reynolds. God damn.
Uh, so last two things I have was Reynolds was heavily involved in the marketing. And I don't know if I wrote it down or not, but when Fox stopped paying the writers to be on set every day, he paid for their salaries to keep them on set because they were so involved in the fight scenes and everything like that.
Mm,
Um, Also, this movie won a ton of awards.
yeah. T.J. Miller's in it too. I think he's kind of. I don't know. I saw some shit with him where him and Ryan Reynolds don't get along no more because he's
Yeah,
not in the third one or whatever, or this
Sad.
upcoming movie. But T.J. Miller, if anybody y'all don't know, he's the bartender guy, but he's also a really good stand-up comedian. You know,
Oh
because
yeah,
he's in a bunch of movies and shit.
his comedic timing was so good. Like I think those
Yeah,
two work so well together. I guess
I mean,
not,
he's a
but
comedian, so it
just
makes.
no, I like when they're just all of their dialogue together was hilarious to me. Like
He's also
actually
kind of T.J.
laughing,
Miller's
not
like a train wreck. He hasn't
well
been in a
that's
movie
what
in a
makes
while.
a good comedian.
I'm watching something. He was like drunk as fuck on a bus or something, and trying to flirt with this lady, and she wasn't having it. And so he like called the cops and fucking said she had a bomb or something. He got like a fucking like I forget. He had There was like a federal offense. He got in a bunch of trouble because he's kind of a lunatic.
I don't know anything about TJ Miller's stand up, but
It's great.
I'm not. That may be he may be great at that, but I'm not really into him in this movie. I don't know. He's forgettable to me.
Also, another fun fact about T.J. Miller: he had a fucking brain tumor, chopped out of his head. So,
Nice.
what?
Nice.
I like stand-up comedy. I know lots of stand-up comedians and stuff about him.
Well, by
He
God.
hasn't done any made an album in forever though.
Well, do we want to get into it plot wise? Bread.
Sure.
Sure. On the Super Awesome podcast, the Super Awesome plot points we have. We open up with Deadpool ambushing Ajax and the crew on the highway in a little slow mo scene, or it's more of a still. But before we get too far, Deadpool shows us via fourth wall the events leading up to the ambush, pretty much his backstory. This is where we meet Wade Wilson before he's Deadpool, which he's a freelance mercenary and meets Vanessa, a prostitute that he falls in love with. Fast forward over a year, and Wade proposes, and she says yes. He is then diagnosed with terminal cancer and decides to leave her so she doesn't have to see him die.
Well, he was a special forces guy, right? Before he was a
Yeah, he
mercenary.
was dishonorably discharged from the Canadian Special Forces or something. I didn't dive too much into that.
Yeah.
A stranger approaches Wade at the bar where uh, TJ Miller's character Weasel is the bartender and offers him an experimental treatment to cure him. Wade is taken to a lab where Ajax injects him with a serum in an attempt to awaken Wade's latent mutant genes. They proceed to torture him in various ways in an attempt to trigger any mutations, which all fail. Nothing works. So Wade finds out his name is Francis in this funny scene and mocks him a little bit, and that's when Ajax leaves him in a chamber of some sort that leaves a person to the point of asphyxiation constantly over a weekend. This works, and he gains the ability to regenerate, stopping the cancer cells in the process, but also leaving him severely disfigured. And I can't remember the quote that TJ Miller says, but he said something about an avocado and how an avocado has sex with another avocado or something like that. He escapes and attacks Ajax, but holds off after he says he can fix his disfigurement. And then that's when Ajax kind of ambushes him and stabs him and leaves Wade for dead in the fiery lab as it collapses around him. And that's the end of my first plot.
Fun fact: the prosthetic that I think there was 9 prosthetics that were used on Ryan Reynolds for his like burn victim face. And that took like a couple hours to apply, but then for the full body shots, that was like 6 hours of application for those scenes, which we get to see a lot of Ryan Reynolds' ass in the beginning of the movie. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I'm
Kevin,
sure. I'm sure that helps with the draw to the movie. Like, hey, look at Ryan Reynolds a bunch. There you go.
Well, I'm here for it.
what do you guys think about like the whole fourth wall thing they approached with this movie?
Well, he does it in the comic books all the time, so it makes
Yeah.
sense to do it in the movies. And yeah, so like because of the lack of budget, them being able to make a joke using this fourth wall aspect, uh, you know, helps move the story along, and you get like a laugh point or whatever.
Yeah, it makes it easy to transition.
Like because it is annoying in the movie where it's like because Deadpool is heavily involved with all the X-Men stuff, but you get like two X-Men or should I say X people? Um, but yeah, I mean, the fourth wall I think adds a lot.
X they them.
Jesus.
Yikes. So who is just to get off track here for a second, who is your favorite X they them?
Favorite X-Men, man.
It's hard not to say Wolverine, but I'm gonna not say Wolverine.
Yeah,
Wolverine is like one of my fucking favorites. He's one of everybody's fucking favorites. I really like Beast. I think Beast is cool. He's just like big blue monster guy.
Yeah.
Colossus is really cool. Can we talk about like Bat? What about villains?
Yeah, anybody.
I like Juggernaut a lot.
So does Deadpool. But
Yeah,
that's the second movie where he's introduced.
but yeah, I like Beast. I mean, I love Doctor Xavier too.
Kind of
And
like Cyclops.
I hate Cyclops. Cyclops is lame to me. He just
He's
goes,
got I know it's
yeah,
I
laser
get it,
eyes.
but I don't know. I've always kind of liked Cyclops a little bit. And the Nightcrawler was cool because mostly because when I was a kid and we saw, I think it was X2, where they have the cool Nightcrawler in the White House scene,
Mhm.
and I just thought that was badass as a kid. So
I was always a big Nightcrawler guy as a kid. Um, Obviously Wolverine is dope. I'd say Nightcrawler's probably my favorite just from nostalgia, but like Gambit is really fucking cool.
Gambit's alright. I forget
Um,
what's his power. He just has like a stick.
no, he like makes the cards glow. I think
Oh yeah,
he can put some explosion beams on like anything, and he just uses cards as his
explosion beams.
anything like a
explosion
pyro or
beams.
something.
But I also really like Rogue, specifically 92 uh X-Men show.
Hmm.
She's kind of dope. And then
I
for
always thought her
villains,
power was
I
weird.
always thought Sabretooth was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, Sabretooth's awesome.
You have a saber tooth figure ready to go for that.
Yeah. That's all up there. So
Okay.
um yeah, that's all I got for you.
Well, I'll just get. Usually I have three parts of this. I only have two parts this time. So
That's a
Wade
short movie.
Yeah, and so Wade survives the lab collapsing on him because of his new like healing abilities. He seeks out Vanessa, but is afraid what she may think of his new look, so holds off for a little while. He goes back to the bar, meets up with Weasel, where an inspiration for his superhero name is found, and they come up with a plan to draw Ajax out. So they come up with his name. Uh, so it's pretty much the same thing in the comics and in the movie, but in the comics he comes up with his name while he's in the lab with the other prisoners because they form a Deadpool to see who's going to die first. So it's the
Yeah,
same thing in the bar, but with the mercenaries instead.
Mhm.
So they come up with a cool name of Deadpool. Over the course
we've
of a
done
year,
that.
yeah. So they got a pool over when they think I'm gonna die, and
We sure do. That was my idea.
I'm very unhealthy.
So my
Uh, I say 10 years or less.
I'd
You
have to
did
go find my notebook.
upon hearing that, you did immediately wager. Like
Yeah, I also put a
you
wager
like
down.
didn't act offended. You just immediately were like, hold on, I want in.
I got to get in on this gambling.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I wish I was dead.
Uh,
So, over the course of a year, Deadpool finds and kills many of Ajax's associates or henchmen until one gives up where he's located. I think it was the guy that offered him the experimental cure or whatever. Deadpool tracks him down, kills the henchman, and has Ajax pinned down on like the highway. And that is until Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead show up and allow Ajax the opportunity to escape Ajax goes to the bar and gets info on Vanessa and who she is, and then he proceeds to kidnap her. He takes her to like so where he has her like held is like an Avengers reference because it's one of the helicarriers from Avengers that's like crashed down on like a scrapyard or whatever. I don't know if you guys have seen the Avengers or not, but that's what that is.
Yeah, I've seen the Avengers. It's been a while since.
Deadpool, yeah. Deadpool asks for help from the only two X-Men that are allowed in this movie, and they team up to save Vanessa. Negasonic accidentally destroys the supports to the carrier, and Deadpool protects Vanessa on the way down as they, crash down. And Ajax attacks once more, but is overpowered. He tells Deadpool in a mocking way that a cure never existed for his, deformities, and kills him despite the pleas from Colossus, where he just straight up shoots him in the head during Colossus's
His
monologue.
heartfelt speech.
Well, he was just rambling on.
He's like 4 or 5 moments. But Vanessa is pretty pissed off that Wade never came back, but is more understanding after seeing his face for the first time. But not only after we discover that he was wearing a Hugh Jackman mask underneath his mask the whole time.
That did make me giggle.
And then a nice little happy ending where he gets the girl back. And that's the end of the movie.
I like in that big fight where what's Ajax henchman lady's name? The Mandalorian lady.
Angel Dust.
Yeah. Where she's like on the ground and Colossus is like, "Oh, please," because her tit popped out. And he's like, ma'am, put your tit away. I like that part.
Yeah, there's some good comedy in this movie.
Forget what that lady said that fucking ruined her career, like or not, I don't know if it ruined it, but she said something. It must have been really transparent or something because she's like no longer allowed acting with the Mandalorian show or any of that shit.
He got
She's better off
canceled.
not being in Mandalorian anymore anyway.
Yeah. But that chick, she's an example of a strong female lead role or whatever. She's a big fucking UFC fighter.
They said, "Whoa, too strong, too
Yeah,
strong."
too strong, I guess.
Yeah.
I do like in this movie where, speaking of another Colossus scene where Deadpool tries to punch him, and he like breaks his hand, breaks his other hand, breaks his foot. And he's just destroying himself trying to punch Colossus.
He's like, this is embarrassing. Stop.
And then he tears his fucking hand off through the handcuffs or whatever to escape him. I do like how brutal this movie is. It's great.
Oh, yeah. There's some scenes like he decapitates that bike rider thing, and his head's just kind of, a lot of blood.
No, that's
he cuts
great.
some dude, or when he fucking like he's when the truck's rolling and it slingshots the dude and he like sticks onto the billboard and he's talking to Colossus and like the dude just falls. He's like, nobody got hurt, and then that dude's like just fucked up corpse falls off the sign and he's like, he was there before I got here. Shit made me giggle, but yeah, super brutal.
I will say about this movie, it's hard to get into some of the more serious moments due to, the comedy of it all. I know it's supposed to be funny, but like, I feel like the serious moments are kind of cut down they have to like insert a joke into all of it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be like, I guess, care a lot for what's going on. But I understand that it's supposed to be like that.
I will say,
does Ajax? Oh, what?
I was just gonna say my only beef with this movie is that you don't really get a lot of. I want more time with the bad guys to like appreciate Ajax more. Like, sure, he's a dick in every scene that he's in, but like, why is he a dick?
Don't know.
Good point.
I would have liked to, and then yeah, like the Angel Dust girl, like, did she even really say anything during the movie? Like,
Not
they're just
much.
like, yeah, she's super fucking strong.
Yeah, she's real strong.
I would have liked to spend more time with them. I mean, I know it was like partially an origin story, but maybe they don't die in it, and maybe we get to explore their characters a little more in the next movie. But I mean, obviously that's not how it played out. But that'd be like my only beef is I didn't really understand why Ajax was such an asshole, and I would have liked to know.
Well, maybe a lack of budget had something to do with it.
I'm sure it did.
So Ajax, though, fucking does he have healing powers? I can't remember what his actual power is because he has some kind of power. Right? I know he's like real strong, like he's way
You know
stronger
what?
than normal.
He
But I
does
can't.
say what his powers are, right? I just can't remember. I can't really remember either because he doesn't regenerate as fast if he does.
I know it's not as fast, but I think he can heal, but he can't heal as fast as like Deadpool or Wolverine or something. Uh, but I know he's really strong. But I
So
forget his power.
he has like enhanced strength and it's like superhuman speed and agility. And also his nerves were also removed to dramatically increase his
Oh
tolerance for
yeah.
pain.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Just a quick Google search. Not off the top of the dome.
Who's got the fastest healing? Is it Deadpool?
I'd have
I,
to
I
say it's
think it's probably
Wolverine.
I think it's probably the Hulk.
Oh yeah, the Hulk also. But
The Hulk heals really, really
I
fast.
feel like with Wolverine, they did it a little inconsistently and like to help with plot of like the first two Wolverine movies, or not Wolverine, but
Yeah,
X-Men movies.
the movies are definitely
Um,
inconsistent because sometimes he's like heals super fast, sometimes he's like knocked out,
yeah, like when he gets shot in the head by like a regular bullet
and
that
then
is
yeah, he's
way
just
softer than his
skull.
skull. That didn't make any sense, but it helped the plot. The fire guy got to do fire guy stuff.
Yeah,
But then I think in like the third movie, despite how bad that movie is, when the Dark Phoenix or whatever, she's
she's
disintegrating
destroying
everybody.
everything. Yeah,
He's like disintegrating, but then rebuilding. Like I think that I haven't read a ton of comics, but to me, that is how I envision Wolverine's healing.
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
But Wolverine and Deadpool's healing is different. So Deadpool can regrow limbs.
mhm,
Wolverine, okay, so I forget. There's a comic where Wolverine gets ripped in half by somebody. I think it was the Hulk because
it
they
might
fight
be.
each other all the time because I
Mhm.
don't know, they're all douchebags. But he gets ripped in half. So and the Hulk throws his legs like 3 miles away or some shit, and Wolverine has to like crawl to his legs. Like he can't just grow new legs like Deadpool
Mhm.
did. He has to actually find his other half and then grow back together. So they do have different types of regenerating or whatever, which I think is interesting. Maybe they'll rip Wolverine in half in the next movie.
Deadpool's more like Piccolo, you know.
They do rip
Yeah, not as
Deadpool in
fast.
half.
Yeah, Deadpool gets ripped in half too.
He gets ripped in half by Juggernaut in the second movie. And also, the regeneration scene in the second movie is where he has baby legs.
Well, he's got a
It's,
baby hand in this one.
it's pretty fucking funny. When Cable comes to his apartment, he's just walking up to him.
I do want to add the blind lady. I don't. Is she in the comics? I didn't do any research on her,
No, I
I did
don't
not
know.
either.
but she's quite funny with Ryan Reynolds. They're like I think all of their dialogue is solid.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
But speaking of which, well, not really speaking of which, but are you guys excited for the third movie, which we are going to go see opening weekend and cover that following Monday on the Super Awesome Podcast?
this is just a hype Deadpool hype super awesome podcast episode.
Mm-hmm,
Well,
mm-hmm.
Wolverine's in it, so I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, I am also excited.
It's got to be the
And
last Hugh Jackman Wolverine appearance. You got
Yeah,
to.
he.
I thought Logan was going to be the
I
last
thought
one,
that
but
was too, but he got roped into this one.
yeah,
I mean,
I
Ryan
figured
Reynolds
that.
has been begging for it in the first two movies.
Hmm.
Always
Yeah.
makes a Hugh Jackman.
And then I forget when they released that random clip. Was it at a Super Bowl commercial? When
Maybe.
like
I don't
when Hugh
know.
Jackman's walking down the stairs and Ryan Reynolds is talking as Deadpool or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be Wolverine in the next Deadpool movie?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Sweet." Like, uh, I feel like
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
a,
a Super Bowl commercial, but I remember like seeing that, and I was instantly like, if if he's playing Wolverine, I'm in.
yeah.
I'm really excited for it, and it's like the first like MCU inclusion.
So on to piggyback on that, are you guys scared? This will be the first one with Bob Iger and Disney after they purchased Fox. I believe the purchase was finalized in 2019. So after the second movie,
Has it been that long since the second movie came out? Really?
I believe it was 2018.
Oof.
So
Yeah, this one came out in 16.
yeah, which I didn't feel good about when I was looking that up. But yeah, are you guys worried that Bob Iger and his everything that he touches lately just not being
Sucks
good?
shit.
So like, are you worried they're gonna like be too involved in Deadpool and might fuck it up? Is that a concern?
Uh, I I don't think it would have been made if like the people that made the first two, you know what I mean? Like if somebody was like, "Hey, you got to do this or you have to whatever," then they would have been like, "Well, then fuck that. We won't make it."
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think Ryan Reynolds cares too much about this character
He
and
really
has
does.
and is very heavily involved with everything around it that I think if that were the case, then he probably wouldn't have maybe even entertained the idea of making a third movie.
I did
Yeah.
see that the writers are still on this project, so I that at least makes me feel good. I'm just scared of anything Bob Iger touches. That's all. So if I'm being honest,
More of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it
yeah,
situation.
I just don't want him to like Disney up Deadpool.
And I will tell you this, they desperately need a good MCU movie to come out,
Yeah.
especially after the last like 6 or 7 movies.
Yeah.
They're just
The
bombing
last the
everything.
last shitload of movies have all been huge failures.
Like the Marvels was terrible.
I've never seen it, and I don't know anybody
Don't
who
waste
has
your
seen it.
time.
You've seen it?
Bored one night, turned it on.
Mm. But yeah, like everything they've come out with in recent time has just been one big pile of feces after another. But this next
Um,
movie, I don't know what it's about. I haven't watched really any ads or whatever commercials about it. So I don't know what it's about. I got a hint of like that it's gonna be multi-university, which I'm like, fuck.
yeah, that's
But
tired.
whatever. Can we
Well,
I'm hoping that if anybody can do it, those two will be able to pull it off.
yeah, I mean it's
I'm
just gonna be
excited
hard to follow or something.
because they're like introducing, I think, from the Loki show, the TVA, the Time Variance Authority.
Yeah.
So I think that's heavily involved, and I'm very excited for all the cameos that are going to be in this movie because there's going to be a lot of them, lots of different variants of Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean, I'm sure their budgets through the roof. So, I mean, I am interested. I mean, I know that the second Deadpool got a good budget. It was like 110 million or something like that. So I'm sure like the budget is infinite at this point. so,
I'm
so
just saying, if there's not an abundance of Hugh Jackman Wolverine doing cool shit, I'm gonna be pissed. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Because it's literally called Deadpool and Wolverine
don't
or
Luke
whatever.
Skywalker this, you sons
Yeah,
of bitches.
there better be plenty of Hugh Jackman doing cool shit in his blue and yellow
yeah.
classic, uh, whatever you call it, uniform. I don't know, suit.
So, could you guys name, according to some list I looked at, can you guys name three of the top five most kills by a Marvel superhero?
Well, I've never talked about this before,
We didn't go over it before the episode,
but
so it's not like you guys have answered already.
the three that I can name off the top of my head would be Punisher, Deadpool, and Wolverine for just murking people. They're not like Batman, who's like, I just can't kill anybody because that wouldn't be right. They just kill the fuck out of them, which I think is great.
Yeah, I was going to say Thor because of how old he is and how many battles and armies he's faced.
That is correct. You guys are great. Again, we didn't talk about that before the episode or anything. And then did I ask this already? Did you guys read Deadpool?
Nah, I've never
No,
had any. I own one Deadpool comic, but I've never even opened it.
yeah, it's the
So
damnedest thing. I've always had a bunch of comics, but never read them.
I read
You know,
some of them. I got a decent amount.
my dad used to give me
Throw it away.
comics for Christmas all the time, and I would just look through them because I've always loved the artwork, but I never really like read them as a kid. I was way more into the shows, like the Fox Kids. If it was on Fox Kids, I was watching it Saturday morning. So yeah, I've never had I mean, would you guys be interested in reading Deadpool now, just in general?
No, I'll just see the movies.
Nah, there's some comics or graphic novels or some, that I would be into. But I don't know, comics it's hard to because there's so many different versions. It's like where do you
Mhm.
start? And if you want to collect them, like let's say you want to issue number one of any comic, like
Good
the
fucking
real
luck.
a real
Yeah,
one,
like the
it's gonna
60s.
be super expensive.
Yeah.
I've got a graded comic book over here.
Is it
It's
The
graded a
Walking Dead?
9.8, and it's Negan Lives since Walking Dead introduction of
Mm.
Negan. I
So
thought it was
like
pretty cool.
I've read a lot of manga, but I've never really read a lot of comic books. Like I've read some. I think I've read some Hulk. Like if a cover art really grabbed my attention, I think I would read a couple. My brother had a decent collection
Yeah,
when
I've
we were
got
kids. So like if something really caught my eye, I would read it. But it'd be like a random story. Like there was one particular one that I read that was the Hulk, and I remember it was like right in the middle of whatever the fuck was going on, but the cover really just spoke to me. I had to open it and read it.
yeah, I
Uh,
had some old Hulk, like Gray Hulk comics.
mhm.
I had some Iron Man. I had this like special edition Iron Man one that was like holographic on the front or something. I don't know. The front cover was like really shiny. Uh, I had some Spider Man and shit. Those are like my three favorite dudes when I was a kid was Hulk, Spider Man, Iron Man.
I don't know why, but I had a bunch of Moon Knight comics.
Hmm.
Didn't they just make a Moon Knight show or something?
Yeah, and I don't think it was that bad, to be honest.
Hmm. I don't even know. I don't
I
know
enjoyed
shit
it.
about. I don't know shit about Moon Knight.
It
Have
had
you guys
something
watched
a lot to do with Egyptian gods or something.
Egyptian God cards?
Mm.
Life
I'll
of the
fucking pull out my
dragon.
Blue Eyes White Dragon right now.
Don't.
You don't.
But
Have you guys watched X-Men 97?
I've
no,
watched the first two episodes, and
I,
it's pretty decent. I
I
need to
got
give the rest
through.
of it a chance.
I turned it on like as I was going to bed the other day, and I watched about 6 minutes of it and fell asleep.
Hmm.
So I've been wanting to give it a shot though.
I've heard nothing but good things.
That's the yeah same.
uh,
Well, did you guys want to get into your super awesome reviews on the super awesome Deadpool podcast?
Real quick, before we
super
do
awesome.
that,
Oh shit!
I was going to say they just released a new teaser for Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, where we get to see a glimpse of Sabretooth from the original X-Men fighting Wolverine.
Which
I think that's
Sabretooth?
good. The
The one with
original from
the
X-Men.
crazy hair,
Yeah.
not
He
the
looks
one.
even older and more beastly, but
Hmm.
I thought it was pretty neat. So
Yeah,
we know
is
he's
it
going
the
to be in the movie.
same actor and everything?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
I was gonna say because there's two different versions of Sabretooth in the X-Men movies. There's the
Yeah,
one with the crazy hair and the claws and shit, and then there's the other one that's played by what's the
that
fucking
guy
guy's name? Yeah, that guy.
in the
Who's
Origins.
yeah, and
I
he
thought
just
he
he
did
just
it. I thought he did a good job.
I liked his I like that rendition of Sabretooth, but like
Mhm.
comic book Sabretooth is looks more like a fucking monster.
I have a feeling this movie is going to be pretty similar. There he
Yeah,
is.
like that.
Pretty similar to No Way Home, the Spider-Man movie, where they have like Tobey Maguire and the other Spider-Man appear.
I've never seen that.
You still haven't seen it?
No,
Oh my God, you're missing out.
It's not bad.
It's
I've
really
heard it's
good.
great. I just I just can't.
Can I say anybody who okay, so Serena's always talking about the Andrew Garfield fucking Spider-Man is like the most accurate to comic books and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but the movie sucks. He cries in every scene, I swear to God. He's crying
My
in
thing
every
is,
scene.
he's too cool. He's not a believable Peter Parker. So I saw something where it was like Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker, not the
Yes.
best Spider-Man. And then I've seen where uh, Andrew Garfield is not a good Peter Parker, but he's a great Spider-Man. And I've heard that the Tom Holland kid is actually just good at both. And I have yet to see. I've yet to watch them. I
You
don't know
need to
why.
see the third one. Don't even worry about the other two. Just see the third one.
Is the third one with all the time Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Yeah, they're jumping all over the fucking place,
That
but
just gives me a headache.
Tobey Maguire's in it though.
Yeah, but Tobey Maguire. Yeah, and
I do love Tobey Maguire.
the Green Goblin. Godspeed, Spider Man. You know that
Oh
guy.
yeah, like fucking Willem Dafoe's in it and
Willem
shit.
Dafoe.
He kind of steals
Doc
the
Ock.
show.
Well, he is like the main villain.
Yeah, I know. I think his performance was sweet. All
Well,
right,
is
super awesome
Zendaya in
ratings.
it? What's going on?
I don't know.
What's going on with what?
I said, is Zendaya in it? What's going
Oh yeah,
on?
she's in. Of course.
All right, then I'm in. What's going on?
I love you, Zendaya. If you ever listen to this podcast, know that I would leave everything for you.
I already have a light skinned girlfriend. I don't need no Zendaya. Fuck her.
Well, by God. All right, super awesome ratings on the Super Awesome podcast. Bread.
Yeah, who's starting?
So you mean you want a super awesome rating from me on the Super Awesome podcast for the Super Awesome Deadpool movie?
Yeah, that would be super great.
That'd
I
be
think
super.
this movie is pretty super awesome. It's got a
All
lot
right.
of super awesome comedic scenes and some super awesome fight scenes, and it's got it going on, and a guy that really cares about the character. Super awesome Ryan Reynolds, and I think I give this movie a super awesome 8.9 out of 10.
8.9. That's pretty high.
I
On
want
the
to go
super
next.
awesome rating scale.
I said that the fact that Fox wasn't sold on the idea shows how out of touch big corporations are. I get playing it safe, but clearly we want some fun, gory action. Deadpool delivers. I think the action sets were phenomenal, and the fourth wall breaks are fun. Um, I do wish we spent more time with the bad guys, which I mentioned. And then I said Ryan Reynolds' passion for the character shines through his portrayal. I also gave this movie an 8.9 out of 10 super awesomes.
All right, super awesome rating from Captain Pete on the Super Awesome podcast. All right. I do think this movie is pretty good. I'd say it's super awesome. But Ryan Reynolds fucking gets on my nerves after a while because it's always his voice throughout the whole movie. But besides that, the action's great, the violence is great, the story is not even that bad. I think this first movie, even though with the way lower budget, is better than the second movie. Um, and yeah, an R-rated, really gory, kind of goofy Deadpool movie is super awesome. I will say I think it's a little super awesome overrated. Some people think this is the greatest fucking movie that's ever been made, and I'm like, pump the brakes here. You can't have a movie with a bunch of butt fuck jokes in it and say it's the best movie of all time. Like that's just dumb.
I think to be fair, especially at the time that came out, and especially where we are now. I think it was just a very refreshing surge of life, and was what is otherwise really stale, like Marvel shit
Yeah,
under
no,
Disney's watch.
it was like the first kind of it's the first movie that we've seen like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the comic booky world. Uh, so yeah, super awesome. Not as it's not a fucking amazing, but yeah, I give this an 8.5. And I hope
I'll
that
take that.
the third one uh lives up to what we all want. Which is it's bad. I hate getting my hopes up for a fucking movie, dude. Anytime I get my hopes up, I get them stomped on. All my dreams of you ever have that? You're like, oh, this movie's gonna be sweet, and you go to see it in the movie theater, and you're like, I want to kill myself now.
The Last Jedi.
I didn't see any of that shit in the theaters. I was not into
I went by myself. I sat next to a family, and I had my arms crossed, mad the entire movie. Like the second Luke grabbed the lightsaber and flung it over his shoulder. Ha! Gotcha. You waited like 3 years for this movie to come out to know what he does. Just throws it over his stupid ass shoulder because he's a different Luke.
Yeah, it was lame.
But I
One of
won't
my
rant
most
about that now.
one of my most disappointing movies was Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
I was so fucking excited about that because I love the first Silent Hill is awesome. And I was
Did we
like,
see that together in theaters?
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think so. But I wanted to burn the movie theater down after that because I was like, that was terrible. Pretty much any horror movie that I think might be cool and I go to a movie theater to see ends up being awful. Like X. That was a piece of shit.
X.
Let me just watch like a fucking weird like porn movie and then have some old people like kill people. Stupid.
So I just watched the prequel to that, Pearl, like last week, and it is better than X. And yeah, I kind of want to see the third one that's comes out just this last weekend, Maxine. That looks pretty
Sure.
interesting.
Hopefully there's a guy with a dick to his knees. Because that makes for a great horror movie.
That's a little weird that you appreciate that in horror movies, but we'll move on.
All I'm saying is that movie sucks. It's fucking stupid. Wasted money and time because of Matthew's suggestion. And then he didn't go see it in the movie theater.
I sure did.
Fucking asshole.
Well,
You're gonna spin that fucking wheel. You're just gonna stand there looking like a.
I'm
dick.
waiting for you to shut the hell up. All right. So this wheel spin is for the following week because next week we're going to do our review on this new Deadpool movie that'll be coming out totally next week. And
even though we just talked about the 4th of July earlier.
Yeah, we're recording a little early. But as far as your ears are concerned, next week is Deadpool. You'll hear that. So then the one after that is going to be.
Oh, boy.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, on Super Awesome Podcast, Super Awesome Pod. We're on YouTube. Go like, share, subscribe.
You definitely couldn't be that fast talking guy at the end of the fucking commercial talking about medicines. This product might also be.
Yeah. National Treasure.
Appropriate. Because I'm going to DC.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And you can guarantee that I'm going to try to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Oh boy.
What did you tell me you were going to do with it?
I think I was going to cross out people and put they, them, right?
I also thought you said you were going to wipe your ass with it.
Oh, yeah. I feel like my fingers would poke through. You ever have that happen? Wipe your ass.
Are you wiping your ass?
Yeah, I got a joke about that.
Well, let's hear it.
I think I got the only girlfriend in the world that doesn't care about buying expensive toilet paper. And it's not the roughness. Everybody complains about the roughness of the toilet paper. Like, oh, it's like sandpaper on your asshole. My issue isn't the roughness. My issue is the thickness. Because I'm going to wipe my ass and all of a sudden I'm giving myself a prostate exam. And then you got shit on the end of your finger. And then you got to basically cut that finger off because it's never gotten off of there. And yeah. The joke needs work, but that's my.
I'm only here for your shit jokes. Those are my favorite.
One of my shit jokes.
You know, why do they even put designs on toilet paper? Because at the end of the day, it just ends up looking like shit.
No, no,
you're not wrong.
Some people like the texture, I guess. And you got like that nice floofy, like with the fucking. It's got like they're gonna make like ribbed toilet paper for people.
I can do a whole podcast over toilet paper.
All right, well, let's get into it right now.
All right, I guess I'll end this podcast.
Why does every restaurant have thin toilet paper?
Because it's cheap. All right.
Unreal.
Nobody wants that on their butthole.
Whoa.
All right. I'm gonna end it on a shitty note.